tell us a little bit of who's Fede, how did you started in crypto, and specifically how did Buenbit started?
So people in Argentina, everybody buys US dollars to save, to protect their money from inflation. Okay, stablecoins is the best alternative for Argentinians to save because it's a free digital US dollars. And that is when it really started to grow back in 2020. Crypto sounded like the financial innovation that is going to take over the financial world, and it's going to be the next big thing that kills all the traditional finance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Frontera. And today we have a really special edition. We have Fede Onge, that he's the CEO and founder of Buenbit. Buenbit was recently acquired by Nexo. And I'm really excited to have Fede here because we've been talking about the Latin American market, the Argentinian market since the beginning of Frontera. We started this program because we know that there was not a lot of quality content about this region out there. And 2025 was a huge year for Latin America. Everyone's talking about stablecoins, acquisitions starting to happen. And we wanted to bring basically the players that are shaping the industry. And Fed is one of them. The recent acquisition is just another proof of that. So Fede, thank you for being here, man. How's everything?
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm very happy to be here to talk about crypto in Latam. I'm very happy to start a new year, 2026. It's going to be a year with lots of work for us in Buenbit and Nexo. I'm so very happy.
Amazing. So, first, I'd like to start telling your backstory. A little bit more about who's Fede, the beginning of Buenbit. I remember that we met maybe around 2022 when you were visiting Mexico one time, and we've been in touch ever since. And Buenbit started 2017, right?
Yes, 2017.
And after 8 years of building, acquisition happens. And tell us a little bit of who's Fede, how did you started in crypto, and specifically how did Buenbit started?
Yes, perfect. So, yes, it's been 8 years. It's been a roller coaster ride. Remember, Avi, we met it back in 2021, 2022, when we just raised our Series A and we wanted to raise our Series B. So we were trying to open and to grow in Mexico. We had huge plans for growth, but then the crash of 2022 came and we had to pull on the handbrake, and we actually had to lay off half of the team, and things changed a lot. So it's been a huge roller coaster ride. So yes, when we started back in 2017, how did Buenbit start? Well, to be honest, I just wanted to make money. That's how Buenbit started. I always like to trade, to start businesses. Actually, my first business I started when I was only 13 years old, and it was back in 2017 when I was mostly into investing and trading stocks. That one of my friends started talking to me about Bitcoin, and I remember I kind of ignored him because I had the idea that Bitcoin was a bubble, or was a pure smoke, as we say in Latin America. But he was really, really, really insisting. So I said, okay, just to make him stop, I'll buy some Bitcoin so he stops being a pain in my ass. And when I got inside a website that compared the prices of Bitcoins of several places where I could buy in Argentina, I saw something strange, that you could buy Bitcoin cheaper at a broker than what you could sell it on another broker. So basically, there was an arbitrage. You could basically buy Bitcoin cheap in one place and sell it for a profit in another place. So I said, okay, if this is true, if this is free money, I'll buy Bitcoin just to sell it on another place and make a 2 or 3% profit. So I bought my first Bitcoin at Espacio Bitcoin here in Argentina for $1,000, and I immediately sent it to another broker to sell it for I think $40 profit. And when I received that profit, and I said, okay, this is real. I didn't understand how Bitcoin worked. For me, it was everything was new, but the profit was real. I just started buying and selling Bitcoin from one place to another. I started doing the arbitrage, and I saw an opportunity in being like a broker, basically, of buying and selling Bitcoin, because it was back in 2017 when we had this very strong bull market from 800 at the start of the year, 800 per Bitcoin, to 20K at the end of the year. So the market grew a lot, and many friends started asking me, Fede, where can I buy Bitcoin? Can I buy Bitcoin from you? Then we had a family and friends of family. So the business grew a lot just by word of mouth that I was a Bitcoin broker. So at the end of 2017, it was only myself running the business, and I did everything from payments, hedging the Bitcoin, customer support, everything, and I was burnt out of so much work. And I started to think, okay, how can I scale this and transform it into a business? And then it's when I say, okay, I want to start a Bitcoin exchange, because there were no exchanges in Argentina. It was only brokers, buy and sell brokers. And that is when I raised some little money from an angel investor. He's Beto. He's the father of one of my best friends. I raised 100K to start a Bitcoin exchange, and that's how it all started. My first intention was, how can I make the most amount of money in the less time, and that got me into Bitcoin. And then I started reading about Bitcoin, and I got more into Bitcoin for its philosophical principles. I'm a super Bitcoin believer. I have almost a big chunk of my savings in Bitcoin. But when I started, I just wanted to make money. And then, with time, our focus went from trying to make money into how can we add value to our customers, and make a real business out of a Bitcoin exchange. 2018 wasn't the best time to build a crypto exchange. We had the supermarket crash. Bitcoin went to 3K again, and all the altcoins and crypto went almost 90% down. So we then pivoted into US dollar exchange, which we opened back in 2019. It was just a currency exchange broker. We buy and sell US dollars. That went really well for a couple of months, because then we had a government change that put a restriction in how many US dollars Argentinians could buy. We could only buy $200 a month. So the currency exchange also had to close. And then it was when we came back to crypto with the idea of offering stablecoins as an alternative to US dollars. So people in Argentina, everybody buys US dollars to save, to protect their money from inflation. And with the restriction, we said, okay, stablecoins is the best alternative for Argentinians to save, because it's a free digital US dollars. And that is when Buenbit really started to grow back in 2020. We went from 0 to 300,000 customers in 1 year we bootstrapped that business. And we then raised the attention of VCs for our growth in Argentina with stablecoins. And then we raised money in 2021. And I don't want to get too long with the story, but that's how we started, and that's how Buenbit went from 0 to raising a Series A.
And Fede, I'd love to hear more, because part of our job is also thinking about how do we educate people who aren't currently in Argentina about the state of the market and what's happening there. So give us a snapshot as well of sort of the other exchanges that are out there. And by the way, shout out to you for kind of navigating the idea maze and finally ending up on what you've built now with Buenbit. But give the users or the listeners a shot of what is Buenbit today, where does it stand in the market, and what are the other sort of offerings that currently exist in the country?
So currently in Argentina, we have lots of competition in the crypto space. There's like probably 5 to 6 medium to large crypto exchanges. And we have more than, let's say, 15 relevant crypto exchanges, Argentinians. Then we have broker dealers, traditional broker dealers starting to offer crypto. We have the big crypto companies from abroad, like Coinbase, or Binance is the biggest one. He's been here since 2017, but you have OKX, Kraken trying to come inside Argentina. And the big fintech players like Mercado Pago and other banks waiting to add crypto. No, so the market is really competitive right now in the crypto space. To give some context, in Argentina, we have had many years of inflation and currency control. So people are always looking for alternatives in how to store value and protect themselves from inflation. So US dollars is always a very sought after alternative. And it was back in 2020 when we started with stablecoins that stablecoins really started to penetrate the Argentinian market as an alternative to US dollars, a digital dollar. And when we started, there was a they say blue market, the blue ocean. Nobody really offered stable coins as an alternative. So back in 2020, we grew a lot because we were the only ones. Now we have, as I said, many competitors, local crypto exchanges, regional crypto exchanges, international crypto exchanges, local broker dealers, and banks and Mercado Pago ready to start offering crypto. So that is why also we were looking for an acquisition, because we were looking at the market conditions, and it's going to be difficult to survive in this kind of context. I see lots of pressure from the big guys that are on top, that have the scale, have the resources, have the money. And from the bottom, lots of new startups that are doing the same thing we do with 10 times less resources and 10 times less time because of AI. And then we have this mid-market that is really competitive. So it's getting really difficult. Everybody's waiting for the next wave of crypto growth. We haven't seen that yet in retail markets. I think most of the crypto prices going up the last year was institutional money, so we didn't see many more retail customers getting into our apps. So it's a difficult situation, I think, for many companies as a competitive landscape.
Something that I see in the market, specifically in the Argentinian market, I personally find it extremely exciting. Just having 15 relevant players basically competing for the same market, it brings a lot of innovation. And I think that Dev Connect in Buenos Aires was a proof of that. I went to several events, and a lot of people from outside of Argentina were just like amazed of how the market moved, how many founders, how many entrepreneurs, everything that's happening at all levels, at super top founder level to the community grassroots ecosystem. So I see that there are obviously several ways in which the industry can evolve in Argentina, but there are two specific ways that I think they will definitely happen in the next 2 to 5 years. The first one, and Buenbit is a great example of it, is consolidation. International companies coming, targeting specific A players, A teams, wanting to leverage their regulatory scaffolding, their on and off ramps, their knowledge of the product and the market to expand their solution. And that's basically my hypothesis on why Nexo acquired Buenbit. And the other way to do to that I see possible for a company, or well, there are two other ways, but the one that might be successful is expansion, because Argentina is a rather small market, but Argentina has crafted some of the best companies, technology companies of the 21st century. Mercado Libre, that's basically the only competitor for Amazon in Latin America, one of the largest companies in the region. Also, something like Voila, one of the most important fintech companies in the world and in Latin America. So I see that maybe some of these crypto companies that you mentioned, they need to either scale or die, in the sense that they need to address other markets or die. And obviously, the third path would be death. It's basically natural for any technology ecosystem to have a lot of companies closing and shutting down after several years of building. So now I would love to talk about this the first scenario that I talked about, that it's consolidation from international companies. So basically Nexo bought Buenbit. I'm sure that there are several others looking at other potential M&A. I would love to forget your insight about the acquisition process, because uh, is this something specific that Nexo was looking for? They were looking for Latam, they were looking for Argentina. I would love to hear what's the main thing that the acquisition of Buenbit by Nexo bring value add for Nexo.
Yes. So they were looking into Latam. They are looking into Latam. They want to grow a lot in Latam. They want to grow in Argentina. And Nexo, and I guess many other crypto companies, had a very, very good 2025, probably a very good 2024. So they have lots of resources. They are looking at how you say this, tailwinds, of regulatory, the changes that are happening in the US. So they are optimistic about the crypto growth, and they see the competition internationally from other crypto exchanges. So it's a time, to grow for them, and they don't have, the time or the team to do it locally. So it's common that they look for a local company to help them with the expansion. And Nexo is looking into Latam and is looking into Argentina because it's a big market for them even before the acquisition. And we were a fit because we are aligned with our product and our positioning. Our product is really similar to them, and our positioning as a more professional, safer crypto exchange than other crypto exchanges is aligned with their positioning more for high net worth individuals, a safe custody. So we are aligned in positioning and in product, and we were also aligned in size. The size of the company, of the acquisition they were looking for. We fit it also that category. So that's why we were a good fit for them. It's an international company, crypto company that's in the race of growth against other big international companies, crypto companies like Coinbase, Kraken, etc. They have the money to grow. They are looking into new markets to grow, like, for example, Latam and Argentina. And they need a local partner to help them grow faster and more efficiently. Looking into Latam and Argentina, they found Buenbit as the company that was the most aligned with what they offer and what they were looking for. So that's how we got into the acquisition.
How many people were working in Buenbit before the acquisition?
It's the same. It's the same. We're 75 people.
75. Okay, perfect. Um, Amazing. And now, after the acquisition, your specific role, will you be running Buenbit still as CEO while the merger happens, or what would be your role?
Yes, I'm still the CEO of Buenbit, and we're working on an integration with Nexo, and I'll be becoming the GM for Nexo in Latam when we finish the integration.
I think kind of building on top of that, Fede, you were talking about why Buenbit is a good fit for Nexo, but I'd love to hear the other side of the story. Like, why is Nexo a good fit for Buenbit? Like, why are you excited to be working with them? What does that represent for, you and your team, and sort of the next steps that you're excited to take on?
Yeah, so it's a funny story, but we always talk about this with Nexo, is that we were always looking up to Nexo for the earn product. So our main product in Buenbit is our earn product. People wanting to earn yield on their stable coins, and we always said, how can we compete with Nexo with the rates they pay? Nexo pays 8 to 9% in stable coins. We used to pay between 6 and 7, and we said, how can we compete with Nexo? No? With the rates, we were looking into different DeFi protocols, and all the yields are coming down. What Nexo basically has, that it's a really important competitive advantage, is that they have their own loan book. They lend the USDC or the crypto to their own customers that leave collateral and use that money for whatever they want. We don't have our own loan book. We used to deploy the funds in DeFi protocols, but they pay less than what Nexo can get by lending money. So for us, being acquired by the big guy, that we said, how can we compete with them? They are the best in the world at what they do, and they are bigger. It's really good for us. It was like, okay, we don't have to compete with the big guys any longer. We can join them and join forces and grow together. So it was really good that it was Nexo, because it is a benchmark for us.
Yeah, I think that this acquisition, as I said personally, it's a milestone for the whole industry in the region. And well, dude, I want to congratulate you for that, because after 8 years of building, it's a marathon. I mean, when you think of 8 years, if you have a child of 8 years at 8, you already know if they're like good at football, if they're kind of smart, if they're not that interested in stuff. So it's a lifetime. And I would love to listen your take about, regardless that it's obviously you and you're a really modest person, but this is, I see it as huge tailwinds for acquisitions, and for it's a great signaling for the industry that this happened. And in Latin America, there's always this specific elephant in the room, that it's liquidity for investors, that are for VCs, for founders, for teams, to have liquidity after several years of building. And you're one of the first companies that have these like big acquisitions. So I would love to hear your take on, how do you think that the market's gonna unfold in M&A in Latin American crypto in 2026, and maybe 2026 and 2027. One of the predictions that I have is that there will be at least 3 more acquisitions of this magnitude in the region, and and I think that's conservative, but basically you went through the process. You might spoke with 5, 10 potential acquirers, and the best fit was Nexo. That's executed. I would love to hear your take on, how do you see the M&A market in Latam for the next couple of years?
Yes, I agree with you, Abraham. I think that in the next couple of months, we will see a couple more acquisitions in the region. It also depends a lot on the macro context, right? If the macro keeps being stable and the crypto prices are stable, I think we will see acquisitions. If there's a market crash, I think everything can change. And I think that all of the crypto market is like a little, we're anxious and seeing what happens with the market, But if everything stays the same, I think there will be a couple more acquisitions because we saw that interest in Latin American fintechs or crypto exchanges grew last year. I was expecting that consolidation would have started earlier. I've been talking to other companies since 2 or 3 years ago. So I think I started talking about this back in the end of 2023, that it made sense that we consolidate in some sense, because it doesn't make sense to have 15 companies doing the same, or 15 companies having the same cost structure, or replicating everything for the same market. We had lots of conversations with other crypto CEOs in Argentina saying, look, the big guys are coming, Coinbase is coming, European exchanges are coming. We are local exchanges, we're smaller, and we are fighting each other for a smaller market. It makes sense that we consolidate. We had this conversation a lot, but nobody wanted to be the one that, how do you say that, the one that let go of his company for the leadership of another guy. That was many months of talking about this. Then I thought last year, after Trump elections, the year before, things would accelerate, but we didn't see that until the last half of last year. Interest in international companies getting inside Latin America. But yes, I think this year we will see a couple more acquisitions. I think the consolidation would have been good to start before, and it would have been nice to see a consolidation between regional companies. It would have been really nice if local or regional companies got together in order to compete with international companies. That didn't happen, and I think what will happen is the international companies buying local companies, or the international companies getting into Latin America to compete. But consolidation must happen. It doesn't make sense to have so many companies doing the same stuff for the same market. And considering that so many new companies can be built with much faster and with much less resources. So we, like legacy fintechs, I call them mid-sized legacy fintech companies, are in a tough spot right now. And I think the best alternative, the best exit for this type of companies is a consolidation.
And Fede, we have an article in Frontera newsletter where we analyze different segments that could be potential acquisitions. The most obvious one, I think, was something like Buenbit, but there are others like FX companies like on-chain FX, the remittances companies, the ones that are most focused in making money move, not necessarily doing wealth management. Do you see any vertical in crypto in Latin America that you think an international company would be interested in acquiring, apart from exchanges or brokers?
I think probably companies building ramp infrastructure in Latin America. Similar to the bridge or BNBK of the US, offering crypto as a service. I think one of those companies could be interested in buying a company that has built the infrastructure in Latam with the ramps and the regulations in many countries, to offer that as a B2B service to other companies. I think that can be an interesting target.
How do you see? I think building on top of that, Fede, like I think for me, the really interesting part here is, as you said, we have 15 companies in Argentina doing effectively the same thing. Taking account all these like really small upstart players that can now build. And at the same time, it's sort of this like encroaching threat of maybe the larger companies coming to the region. Like, I think my question would be two-pronged. So one is, how are these, the Nexos of the world or the Coinbases, what are they beyond the, regulatory headwinds? Like, what's specific about these Latin American markets that doesn't exist currently in the US or Europe or Asia where they currently operate? Like, what's exciting for them there? Like behaviors that they see in users and so on. And then, what does end up happening with the smaller players? But we'll start with the first question of like, what is kind of like market trends that these international exchanges are seeing in the region that is very unique to the region? I think you have a really great insight on this.
I think it's basically the potential to grow. See these companies see the trends in fintech adoption and fintech growth in Latin America, and they think, and I agree, that there will be a similar trend in crypto growth in Latam. So they see a very big market with the potential to grow. I think that's the main thing.
Makes a lot of sense. I think the second question that I had there, and I totally agree with you, right? And it's like why we actually think, it is even sort of proven in the data, like Southeast Asia was one of the fastest growing markets for crypto, followed by Latin America. I guess the other component that would stem off of that is like, how can, if maybe the objective is for these smaller folks to succeed across the region, like what do they uniquely bring to the table that might give them the right to win, right? So, is it an optimal world where like these massive companies just come in and acquire everybody? And if it's, otherwise, like what can, companies that are in a similar position to yours, like make sure that they can do in order to stay competitive?
It's a difficult question. It's a difficult question, and it was like my day-to-day worry. How can we survive and how can we grow in so much competition? And my answer was always finding something to differentiate our product for a specific market or a specific niche, and focusing on that. How can we become different? How can we service a market better than the rest by focusing on a smaller market and avoiding the competition in the bigger market? That, and also innovation, building something new, building something better than the competition. I think those are the two ways of being able to compete, focusing on a smaller market niche where you can build something better than the competition that is focusing on other markets or a bigger market, and focusing on building something new and better, innovating. That's why startups appear and they grow, because they build something new and they innovate.
Are there any particular like verticals that you're perhaps observing now that you think might signal that like some of these folks are actually working at the forefront of innovation? Like, what from this sort of crypto on-chain world to you appears to be really like the forefront of what a lot of folks aren't necessarily currently observing?
Also a tough question, because when we started crypto sounded like the financial innovation that is going to take over the financial world, and it's going to be the next big thing that kills all the traditional finance. And it was like this very optimistic spirit of innovation, something new. And we are seeing in the last couple of months or years that crypto is becoming part of the traditional finance market, right? The blockchain as a more efficient infrastructure for payments and maybe more transparent, and crypto as another asset. As another asset, like it can be gold or US or stocks or bonds. Crypto is just another asset. So banks are starting to offer Bitcoin or crypto as another asset, and they are starting to adopt blockchain technology for payments. So it's becoming a part of the traditional financial market. So in crypto, I don't see many new like innovations. It's more like efficiency in payments and finance. And what I'm looking at is more AI as a new market, a market segment. Then we can talk about the overlap AI and finance or AI and crypto, and that's what I'm mostly looking at and studying is AI and how AI can be the next big thing. Okay, it is the big thing right now, but thinking about new stuff and innovation, I think it's more AI than crypto and blockchain right now.
Yeah, I think that's like very evident in, the new exciting launch is like the 10th iteration of a perp dex that has like a, 20 basis point improvement on like the mechanism versus, this like completely new sort of shift, right? And we've seen Phantom integrate like Hyperliquid, for example, and like that's what they're bringing to the table. It seems like how can you sort of piece everything together in a way that makes sense? I think the last question on my end, Fede, would be you mentioned institutions a few times. You talked about sort of Nexo. I know they have sort of a link there, and how a lot of the run up this year was sort of largely driven by these folks. What can you say, as about the kind of state of adoption from these institutions? And it might not be that much, but I'm just curious if like you've had many conversations there, or sort of what that has looked like so far.
Yeah, got it. Great. I can talk about institutional adoption in Latin America because what I know about the US or international markets, it was everybody reads in the papers or in Twitter. But in Latam, institutional adoption, I think I could say hasn't even started yet. We started to talk with many broker dealers, wealth managers, and financial institutions saying, okay, we were acquired by Nexo. Nexo has a great corporate or high net worth individual crypto offering that can be very interesting for your customers. And most of them say, I don't see much interest in crypto from my institutional customers or high net worth individuals still. And I say, but are you seeing what is happening in the US with the ETFs and BlackRock and companies and institutions buying crypto, and the BlackRock guys recommending to have at least a percentage of the money in crypto? And they say yes, but still in Latam and Argentina, the big guys haven't adopted crypto yet. It's been much more of a retail adoption in Argentina than institutionals and also high net worth individuals. And I see there's a big potential there to be the first company, Nexo being the first company to service this segment of institutional money. But we still have to make an effort on explaining and educating and explaining that crypto is becoming it's a new technology of the traditional financial market. It's not a weird experiment of cyberpunk guys that crypto is now an asset class. So I see a big potential in Argentina, and I can say that institutionals haven't adopted crypto yet in Argentina or Latam.
Fede, now to close the episode, I'd love to hear you wrote a short essay on how's being a founder, right? How's being the process of 8 years of building, driving an acquisition, everything that has happened since. And I mean, you started your first company when you were 13. Maybe you wouldn't thought that crazy shit will happen in the years to come. And I think that there is a lot of romanticism at being a founder when you start, and then you go through the desert For me, founding a company is like going through the desert, and good friends will come along. That's the point. Friends will appear. You'll make it happen. You'll survive. But specifically in this essay that we'll market in the show notes, you said several things that were really interesting, and I would like to deep dive on them. So the first thing is, in the whole process, I would love to hear thinking of. I hope that future founders or people that are starting companies are going are listening to this episode, and they'll say, "I mean, this guy went through the process. What can I learn from him?" Obviously, in 1 hour, it's impossible to get a lot of the knowledge. But the first thing I would love to hear is, what's the thing that you are more grateful for in this process? Because there's always hard times, and the finish line is never as satisfactory as the process, right? So
Mhm.
looking backwards, what's that thing that you say, or those couple of things that basically you're grateful for in these 8 years?
Yes, so the article mentioned most of mentioned the hard times I went through before selling, and the point was like, as you say, of the metaphor that um building a business is like going through the desert, and friends will join, compared to the glamorous or the romanticized stories of entrepreneurs who exit $1 million companies and live the life. Because I wanted to share, a realistic image of what it is to build a startup. No, that you have to be resilient, because most of the times you're solving problems. Most of the times, it's a hard time. You obviously have many good times, and I think you have the no. I think it's more hard times than good times. But the point is that an entrepreneur has to be resilient, right? And I believe that the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that are the most resilient, because intelligent, capable, skilled people, there are many more than successful entrepreneurs. And I think that is because most of them are not resilient, or are not willing to sacrifice or suffer what you have to suffer in order to become like an Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk maybe has passed through the worst stress I can imagine of a businessman. But the good part of this journey is, I think, the one I'm most grateful for is experience of being able to um, overcome all of these challenges and hard times, and become a stronger person, a more resilient person. Uh, Building the character one has to build to become a successful entrepreneur. So I think it's the other face of the same coin. Hard times are don't feel good, but if you overcome them, you build character and you become a more resilient person and a better entrepreneur. So I'm very grateful for this experience, and for having to overcome so many problems, because it built my character, and now I think I'm a better entrepreneur, I'm a better person, I'm a stronger person, and I feel more confident in my skin.
And Fede, also going through the dark times, um, what were some things that you relied on? Maybe maybe you remember some specific elements in your post. You say when Argentina won the World Cup, how you needed to manage relationships with founders, and at the end, there's always some sort of thing that you come back to, right? What were those things? A couple of them that kept you centered, maybe that were the light bulb in the darkness.
um, I mean, as a practice, meditation I think helped a lot. I meditate every day. I try to sleep well, also to train, to eat well. So having a healthy lifestyle helps for being able to handle stress. I don't think there's a particular thing that I looked after for motivation, like maybe thinking about um, a goal, or I don't know, maybe talking to some person, because I don't have a. I had a co-founder, but he's no longer in the company. He left 3 years ago, so I didn't have this partner to talk to. But I think the thing that just made me keep going is like survival instinct. Um, Being an entrepreneur is part of my identity. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I want to be an entrepreneur. So when the hard times came, it's my duty to handle them. It's just how it is, and I just push through. I didn't have something particular to motivate myself to overcome these problems. I just said, okay, it's part of what I have to do if I want to be an entrepreneur. And maybe adrenaline helped a little bit for the instinct to survive. But that's it. And having a healthy lifestyle helps with being able to handle stress also.
Yeah, love that. It's part of the job description, right? So you need to handle it. And Fede, closing the last question, could you tell us a little bit, a couple of things that you're excited for in 2026 for Nexo, Buenbit, Latin America, AI, a couple of things that you think will mark this year as something relevant for you and for Latin America in the crypto ecosystem?
Yes, for me personally, obviously the project with Nexo, making Nexo grow a lot, creating the synergies with the Nexo team and structure and product that is amazing, and our local team that has the local knowledge to make Nexo grow a lot in Argentina and in Latam. We have very exciting plans for 2026 that I can't talk much about. That's from my personal professional point. And then AI. I'm always reading, and my Twitter feed is everything is AI. I'm really excited and trying to be optimistic with AI, not pessimistic. And all of the innovations and things and products that are appearing with AI excite me a lot. So I think 2026 will also be a great year for AI, new products, new companies, innovations. So yes, 2026, making Nexo grow a lot in Argentina and Latam, and excited by the new innovations that AI is going to bring to the world.
Amazing. Fede, thank you for your time. As I said off the stage, this might be super busy days for you. Thank you for talking with Frontera. As you know, we're great. We are creating the best content about crypto in Latin America. So go read the newsletters. Fede, where can people find you? Where can people find Buenbit, Nexo, more information?
I only use Twitter, so you can find me in Twitter. My username is Fede Owe, as my name and last name, and you can find Nexo and Buenbit also on Twitter, and you can shoot a message there if you want to contact me as well.
Amazing. Well, Kush, thank you for another great episode. Fede, thank you for your time. Go follow Frontera. Read the essay of this week. We are basically analyzing everything about Buenbit, Nexo, the acquisition, what's coming for Latin America. So, as I always say, thank you for listening and see you next time. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Fede.
Thank
Ciao, ciao.
you. Bye bye.